In the last episode of JWK Explains, I talked about injuries and how stress can lead to a higher chance of getting injured. The devastating role that injuries play in sport became very clear again on Monday, June 10th during Game 5 of the NBA Finals, when Kevin Durant, one of the best basketball players in the world, tried to return to play after a calf injury he sustained almost a month earlier. Durant was actually playing very well, having scored all of his three-point attempts when he went down early in the second quarter. At first, it didn't seem that a lot had happened. He made a move and immediately grabbed his calf and sat down on the court. Supported by his teammates and opponents, who viscerally felt badly for him and even summoned the crowd not to boo him, he left the floor and returned to the locker room. At halftime, it became apparent that he needed an MRI to determine what had happened and he wouldn't be returning to the match. However, this video does a lot of the work of the MRI, as it clearly shows something snapping in his right calf. In the wake of these events, a big debate started about forcing players to return to play too soon and the team not treating their players right. Now, this won't be the topic of today's video, but I do want to say that I have yet to meet an elite athlete that wouldn't be begging his coach and medical staff to be cleared to play in a game that can cost them the championship. Now, rather, in this episode of JWK Explains, I will have a look at the psychology of injury rehabilitation and the techniques athletes can use to speed up their rehab.
Curry to Durant. Here's his first shot, and it looks pretty good there.
When an athlete gets injured, there are several different factors that he or she needs to deal with. First of all, there is probably some kind of physical discomfort that is linked to the injury. The injury itself might be painful, the athlete might have trouble getting around or have a big loss in functionality. And on top of that, the rehabilitation process might be painful and uncomfortable. These are problems that athletes use medical professionals for to help them deal with the challenges. However, on top of that, there are several psychological challenges that come with an injury. Probably the most important one is that sustaining an injury can lead to a loss of self-worth in athletes, and especially in high-performance athletes. And this is linked to the concept of athletic identity. In essence, what athletic identity is how much of a total identity is linked to their athletic career. Now, this sounds a bit vague, and it is best explained through an example. Let's take the case of a government worker that goes for a run once a week. If we ask this person, "What are you?" it is very unlikely that they will say, "A runner." They will probably say, "I'm a government worker, I'm a father or a mother or something else." Only a tiny part of their overall identity is linked to their athletic endeavors. However, if we ask that same question to Kevin Durant, his answer is most likely going to be, "I am a professional basketball player." A substantial, if not all, of his identity is linked to his athletic career. Now, when an athlete gets injured, that athletic part of their life might be taken away from them. And this can lead to some interesting side effects. For instance, athletes can stop rolling and stretching, attending tactical meetings, or eating properly. Things that, despite the injury, athletes are very capable of doing. Besides this loss of athletic identity, there are some other psychological stressors that are put on injured athletes. And these might revolve around financial situation, job security, and social life. What I'm trying to convey here is that sustaining an injury is way more than just a physical thing. And it's way more for an athlete than just not being able to complete. This is an important insight for athletes and coaches at every single level of play. You see, an athlete's belief that he or she is going to be able to return to play at a pre-injury level is a moderator on recovery time. If this belief is low, the recovery time is longer. An athlete that stops thinking they are an athlete will probably not take the appropriate steps to be able to return to play. Or on the other hand, might be forced to return to play before they are ready to regain their athletic identity. Something that we maybe have seen with Kevin Durant. Psychological stressors surrounding injuries are very important and should be cared for by professionals, just as medical professionals are tending for the physical part of that injury. When an athlete seeks the help of a mental performance professional, there are several techniques that they can use to help aid the recovery time and increase their confidence. The first type of technique focuses on the mind-to-body connection. An example of such a technique is injury rehabilitation visualization. In this technique, athletes first visualize their affected body part getting warm and blood rushing to that body part. This helps raise the temperature and the inflammation process in that body part. They then move on to visualizing how the muscle, tendon, or joint becomes stronger. Everything latches together again, and feeling how every single part of the affected body part is healing and becoming stronger. The last part of the visualization focuses on the confidence part. Athletes visualize themselves back into competitive situations and feel how the body part is stronger and completely functional, just as it was before the injury. This type of visualization can really help athletes deal with some of the discomfort and confidence issues that arise through an injury. A second type of technique focuses on helping the athlete deal with the loss of athletic identity, anxiety, and doubts surrounding the injury. An athlete works directly with a mental performance consultant to explore their thoughts, emotions, and behaviors and make sure that they take the appropriate steps to reach full rehabilitation. If you are suffering from injury and you want psychological support to deal with this, make sure to send me a message and together we can find out what will work best in your particular situation. In summary, there are both physical and psychological factors that come in play when an athlete sustains an injury. And both of these aspects will have to be dealt with in order to fully rehabilitate. Remember, it will not be a straight line from injury to rehabilitation. Along the way, there will be bumps and setbacks. But it is important that you take the right steps and you stick to them. If you do that, I am confident that everyone can recover from their injuries. Thank you for watching. I truly believe that injuries are a very complex situation that need both physical and psychological ways to be able to really deal with it. If you have any questions about the risks of getting injury in a psychological way or how to deal with a situation when an injury occurs, please feel free to leave a comment or contact me on the different social media. You can find me as JWK Mental Performance Training on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube.